Hello and welcome to the Evercade Retreat. My name is Gene Joke and today I'm ranking all the games from the Technos Arcade Collection Volume 1. Well, the only Technos Arcade volume, really. There isn't a 2. I was familiar with some of these games before getting this collection, but I hadn't played them a huge amount. So a little bit nostalgia here, but most of it was pretty much discovery for me. Anyway, starting from worst to best, let's get on with it. At the bottom of the pile is Minky Monkey, deservedly so. I really dislike this game. It's a single screen platformer. You control a little boy taking instructions from a monkey with little tasks to do per level, and another monkey is trying to prevent you from completing those tasks. It's not an exciting game or interesting, and it's definitely not fun. Next up we have Double Dragon 3 The Rosetta Stone. Like the earlier Double Dragons, it is a side-scrolling beat-em-up. However, it's notorious for two things. One is being the first game to introduce like a pay-to-win mechanic by allowing you to spend credits or coins, money, whatever, to get, bonuses, extra lives and things. The other is basically for being a janky, horrible mess of a game, and really continuing the sharp decline of the Double Dragon series after the first game, or at least in the arcades. Next up we have Double Dragon 2 The Revenge. I'm sure many people would have this higher on their list, and I considered it, but ultimately I just don't find it very fun. I played this back in the day, but I was more of a fan of the first Double Dragon. With this one, I did not have the control layout, and I still don't really. It's okay, you can get used to it, but yeah, between that and the quite high difficulty, kind of saps the fun from it a little bit. It's iconic in places, but yeah, I just don't find it that much fun anymore. Next up we have Mania Challenge, pretty much the only wrestling game on the Evercade. Well, unless you count Beast Wrestler, but why would you? Anyway, Mania Challenge it's fine. It's a wrestling game. It's a pretty good one for its time. Games like this have improved a lot since, but for its era it was pretty good. It's a little bit limited. There's not much to come back to, which is why it's quite low down on the list. But again, you can have some fun with it, especially multiplayer. Next up we have Battle Lane Volume 5. It's a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up where you're on the back of a motorbike, blowing away enemies. At the end of a level you need to dismount and blow up an enemy blockade. Rinse and repeat through various levels. Remember how I said the difficulty of Double Dragon 2 sucks the joy out of it? It kind of does on this one, but there is also a lot more satisfaction from getting good and overcoming the levels. Maybe it's a bit of Stockholm Syndrome setting in, but once I start getting good at this game and really sort of enjoying it, I end up starting enjoying it. I imagine most people would rank this lower, but I've got a bit of a soft spot for this basically quite brutal game. Next up is the Combat Tribes, a side-scrolling beat-em-up that's perhaps more in the mould of Renegade than something like Double Dragon, as in it's an arena rather than just purely walking from left to right fighting bad guys. It's got some big bold graphics, some quite nice music, and some satisfying thumps and crashes for the sound effects. You've got some nice brutal moves. The way it controls is a little bit different from most beat-em-ups. You won't be doing much in the way of jump kicks here, or any really. I suppose it's a bit more realistic in that respect maybe. Overall, as a single player game it gets quite tedious pretty quickly, but multiplayer is a lot more fun. Next up is Blockout, a sort of or a pseudo 3D Tetris. Now, given the nature of the 3D play area, controls are a little bit more complex or take more adjusting to, and figuring out how everything works before you can get good at it does take more effort than Tetris. It's also slower paced than Tetris and not as addictive, but as a Tetris clone goes, it's okay, it's pretty good. You can have some fun with it if you take the time to get fluent with the controls enough to enjoy the game. And finally, my favourite game on the collection is the Mysterious Stones. I'd never heard of this game before getting an Evercade, and I initially bounced off it, but I'll come back to that in a minute. So the basic concept for the game is it's Indiana Jones, or like the opening of Raiders of the Lost Ark. You enter a ancient temple, you work your way through the various rooms and traps and things, find the treasure, grab the treasure, escape, and then get rewarded for the treasure you chose. Fairly simple premise, but each room has all sorts of traps and maybe a bit of a puzzle, and you're on a time limit as well. And there's quite a compelling game there, but it's not the easiest thing to get into. It seems quite clunky and awkward at first, and nothing's all that intuitive initially. It takes work to get into, which is probably why it failed as an arcade game. But on a system like the Evercade where you can really get into it, it's fantastic. It's really compelling. There's a lot more depth to it than you'd expect as well. Like I said, I bounced off it hard at first, but once I got into it, I took my time with it, got into it, and I got really good at it. Get some absolutely epic scores. I could loop through it a couple of times. Brilliant game. Absolutely really enjoy it. So, looking at the Technos Arcade collection as a whole, I can safely say it's a mixed bag. In my opinion, opinion, there's only one genuinely good game, and that's the Mysterious Stones. You've got a few average games, and then, a few poor games. Of course, this is just my opinion. I know Double Dragon 2 has its fans. There's some people who really like Blockout. So, it is personal preference. Overall, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. But, if you're a Double Dragon fan, then maybe you'd rate it a bit higher. Or maybe you're a huge fan of Inky Bunky or something. I don't know. Yeah, this one didn't really do it for me, but it's not terrible.
Ancient temples where secrets lie untold. Dr. John's on a mission seeking treasures of old. With every stone he kicks, a mystery unfolds. In the shadows of the past, brave stories are retold. Mysterious stones, they hide the key to ancient worlds and history. Through danger and adventure we roam, in a quest for the unknown. From the jungles to the deserts, across the sea so wide, Dr. John's relentless, with courage as his guide. Guardians of the temples, they try to block his way, but with every step he takes, he's closer to the day. Mysterious stones, they hide the key to ancient worlds and history. Through danger and adventure we roam, in the quest for the unknown. From the jungles to the deserts, across the sea so wide, Dr. John's relentless, with courage as his guide. Guardians of the temples, they try to block his way, but with every step he takes, he's closer to the day. Mysterious stones, they hide the key to ancient worlds and history. Through danger and adventure we roam, in the quest for the unknown. Artifact he finds tells a tale of yore, of kings and queens and battles and legends evermore. With every stone he breaks, the past comes into view, a journey through the ages with every clue. Mysterious stones, they hide the key to ancient worlds and history. Through danger and adventure we roam, in the quest for the unknown.